All right, loves, thanks so much for coming back by to this additional part of the conversation when it comes to weight loss. So we are in a social media discussion about weight loss, and a host put on her YouTube in regards to trying 30 days without sugar. And it's a good challenge. I think that everyone should do this. I know that my mentor talked to me about this earlier in the year, about just taking the challenge to just try to see what happens. 30 days without sugar, 30 days without pasta, 30 days without rice. What I do love about taking on these challenges, you're going to see results for one, but you are also going to see things that are different about your body. You're going to see that the problematic areas, especially if you see like weight loss, or if you see more energy, more focus, things like that. So much can happen. I keep saying, as I said in a previous podcast, about inflammation. Sugar is inflammation, and inflammation is fat, and fat is obesity, and obesity is a disease. So let's get down to it. Here's the secret, and I'm going to break down the secret. It's the last thing that I'll probably talk about. I'm going to break down to you the secret, and I'm not going to run this no more than 15 minutes, so stay tuned. I want you to get a pen, because if I told you that this is something that I was able to do overnight, then that would be a lie. I remember probably the first time jumping back on board to get the weight off. If you've listened to the other platforms where I've shared the story, you could go listen to a lot about the journey that I'm on now on some of the platforms that I have. But one thing about it is starting and stopping, starting and falling off. So much can happen when you get on this journey to take off the weight. And 80% of the population must have what I am going to tell you about at the end of in a few more minutes. 80% of the population must have this, no matter what you have heard out there. I've done the research, and I'm telling you, especially when it comes to the Black culture, I'm going to say 80% of our culture, that I'll stay there because of something that I've been able to witness and see and view. I will say that I've been around all cultures of individuals, mixed family, mixed, group of friends, maybe not so mixed workspaces, because I'm usually the only Black person. But so I've seen a lot of cultures do a lot of things, but in our culture, 80% of the individuals will need this. You're going to have this to really battle that thing called cravings for sugar and salt and Snickers. And I don't want to pick on any brand or anything like that. I'm not picking on you, because all those things are possible within boundaries. But Snickers and, chocolate cake and donuts and Krispy Kreme, Dunkin' Donuts and all those type of things, you're going to have this. And I'm going to explain to you why in just a few, right? The first thing in the secret to taking off weight, right? Now, I'm not even talking about taking off 50 pounds, 100 pounds. Those are macro goals. 50 to 100 to 200, pounds, depending on where you're at. Those are macro goals. Just for you to get in a steady flow of taking off 1.6. I don't like to say 1.6, but I know 1.6 can be the reality before you add this additional thing that I had to learn was the big secret. But 1.6 to 4 pounds a week of weight loss, you're going to have to first get serious. You have to get serious. You can talk about it. You could be about it. You could Daniel fast with the church on 30 days a year. You could do all that and think that that's it. You can go for a walk. You can set your New Year's goal and go for a walk about 4 times within that year and say, I tried. You could do all that, but you know that did not do anything for your body. Your body didn't change. You didn't lose any weight. No inches went down. You didn't feel any better, and you continue to get more and more sick. So if you really want to lose weight, number one, write it down, is get serious. You are going to have to get serious. I had to face that fact. I had to have that thrown at me. I had to feel whatever emotions that you think that are tumbling through your stomach and your gut right now, telling you, if it pissed you off that I just said that, If you feel like she thinks and she acting like I'm talking to you. You are directly the person that I'm talking to. If it made you feel a type of way, there's a reason. The weight's not coming off because you're not serious. You're posting more about doing it on Facebook than you are about actually getting it done. It's easier to have a fancy conversation while eating a salad once a week with your girlfriends and thinking that that's really going to be getting it done. And none of that is being serious. You're going to have to get serious. And here's some of the first things that you're going to have to do in getting serious, right? You need to go to your provider. Write that down for number 2. You need to go to your provider. When you're at your provider, you're going to talk to them about needing to lose weight. They're looking at the scale. They're looking at your labs. They probably already know this. If they have not told you, if you have not had labs, then you need to ask your provider, your doctor, for full panel labs. And when you get those full panel labs, you need to do a follow-up so that you can talk to your doctor about everything that shows, on your labs. You need to tell your doctor that you feel like obesity, there's a weight loss. When you did the BMI calculator or the BRI calculator, whichever one you choose, I like the BRI. But when you're doing those calculators, you see that it keeps categorizing you as obese. And you need to do something about it. What is my labs is showing? What is the problem within my labs? Once your provider breaks all those things down, they should be talking about glucose. They should be telling you that your levels are high or low, that your levels are on a border. If you get a borderline with your glucose and you get a borderline with your A1C, if you get a pre-diabetic, you just have diabetes. I don't want anyone to go walking away with the pre-diabetic mindset and thinking that it's not diabetes. I tell you that because for 2 years, I was told that I was pre-diabetic and I walked away acting like it was some category of not diabetes. It's just diabetes. They're not going to say that, but you need to make sure you tell your mind that, because walking away and not treating pre-diabetes like diabetes, you're going to find your A1C number going up and you're going to find yourself in type 2 diabetes. So if you get a pre-diabetic in that conversation with your provider, you need to tell her, I need you or him, treat me as if I'm already diabetic. What do we need to do? You're serious now. So this is the route that you want to go. Hopefully your provider will then point you over to a dietitian. When you get over to the dietitian appointment, don't miss that appointment. You need to make that first initial dietitian appointment when you're on the get serious route. Before you leave to go to the dietitian, your provider is going to tell you need to cut your calories and you need to make sure that you're walking 30 minutes a day. You can ignore that like I did in 2022 and do it every once in a while, or you can get serious and walk 7 days a week or move 7 days a week exactly how she told you to do. Can't walk outside because of the weather, walk around inside. You need to get your steps up and do exactly what the doctor tells you to do on that. Make the dietitian appointment. When you get to the dietitian is going to tell you what's for your body type. You notice how I didn't say you need to do this, and that? I don't know. Because I don't know what's for you. I haven't seen your labs. So I can't be on some reel telling you what works for everyone because it's not true. I haven't seen your labs. All I can do is tell you for sure the only thing that works for all of us is if you have the physical capability to do so, you need to move and walk 30 minutes a day. That will definitely tackle weight loss, and it will help with heart health and kidney health and a host of other things. It will improve your liver because it's going to start taking the fat that you've gained on your liver off. So walking and moving 30 minutes a day. That is important, and you need to strength train. So your dietitian is going to tell you this, and then your dietitian is going to lay out something similar to like what was laid out for me. Your protein needs to be at 30 grams per meal. You need to be in a calorie deficit every day. You need to be in a carb deficit and a fat deficit every day. You need to keep your protein high, and your fiber needs to be anywhere between 15 to 33 grams a day. Get serious. Listen to that. Do not dismiss it. When you snack, it needs to be a healthy snack. When you eat, you need to make sure you're waiting 4 hours to eat, or if you feel like you need to eat something, it needs to be something small and it needs to have purpose. Is it going to build protein? Is it going to give you fiber? What exactly is this food item going to do for your body, for your goals? The Carb Manager app, the dietitian should tell you to use a app to manage your macros. My dietitian chose the Carb Manager app, and I was already using a macro app. This one was a game changer. It was not doing half of the things that my other calorie counting app was doing. So I will highly suggest to you that if your dietitian doesn't say it, I will say to you, get the Carb Manager app. Dr. Patel was 100% right on that. Get the Carb Manager app and then manage those macros. Set those goals in there and then forget about it. Once you set the goals, when you initially set up the app will keep up with everything else for you. Be honest about your weight. The app doesn't have time for you to lie. You lie to the app, it's going to give you misinformation. That misinformation is going to knock you off from your goals. So make sure you put that information in. So get serious, provider, dietitian. Those are the first 3 steps, right? And then what has happened in that laying out for you, the dietitian is also going to give you like 3 or 4 sheets of paper of foods you can and can't eat, what you should eat to bring your A1C down, to bring your glucose numbers down, what you should be eating to reverse your type 2 diabetes, what you should be eating to get out of, they're not going to say reverse type 2 diabetes. I'm going to say that. They're going to go every direction than saying that, because they're going to say diabetes is something that you'll have for the rest of your life. Get used to hearing that within the medical walls. I'm outside telling you, let's reverse it. Let's live a life outside of let's go take the number beyond pre-diabetic, so that, you want to get into like a 4, or, you want to get far away from pre-diabetic numbers. And then you're in a state of reverse for as much as possible. Yes, you will always possibly be at risk for diabetes, but you can reverse it with the actions that you take. Be intentional, and the reverse can happen. But they're not going to say that for a host of reasons, as research and all kind of things that hasn't allowed a doctor to be able to say that, right? So learn how to eat. So they're going to give you a sheet of the foods that you can eat, and stick to that. Stop being stubborn. You can't eat fast food and lose weight. Can you eat fast food? Yes, but you cannot eat fast food on a weekly basis and lose weight. I was just talking with my guy, and we were talking about when's the last time, and I looked and I was like, oh, September 6th. Today is what? September 20th. September 6th was the last time eating out, and then the time before that was September 2nd. Know in your mind for 30 days what type of eating that you're doing, and start recording it be exact. Every restaurant, every food item you can think of, from here to when you're traveling in France and Amsterdam, everything that you're eating is available to insert and type in on the Carb Manager app. It's not like that on a lot of the other carb apps, and that's why I recommend. I have no affiliation with that app. I am recommending that app because my dietitian recommended it to me, and it has been a game changer. The Carb Manager app, right? And I'm not sure. Let's see. I think green and orange and white are the colors that are on there, because there may be a whole bunch of them saying Carb Manager at this point, but it's going to be called Carb Manager, right? Okay, so learning how to eat. Once you see a week, 7 days, exercise patience in the weight loss process, and write that anywhere on the side of the page, because I'm going to say that all the time. I've been saying that to my listeners since 2010 on all my different podcast platforms. Exercise patience, especially when it comes to the weight loss journey. You did not gain the weight overnight. You're not going to lose the weight overnight. And if you missed the conversation that I had a conversation in a couple of, maybe a podcast or so ago, and I broke down the differences between, semaglutide and tirzepatide. So let me stop and do that for a minute, and then we'll get back to the list. So semaglutide and tirzepatide. Semaglutide is a GLP-1 by itself. Along came maybe a year or two ago tirzepatide, and it's having more effect for weight loss because it's a GLP-1, and it's also It has an additional thing where it's for managing weight loss, but it's also for hormones. So there's that. And then you have Ozempic, and then you have Wegovy. Those are for people who are trying to lose weight. And then you have tirzepatides. Mounjaro is for diabetes, and then Zepbound, Eli Lilly's Mounjaro and Zepbound is for obesity, to help take weight off. The common thing that people mix up is semaglutide and Ozempic, and they say it as if it's two different things. Ozempic is the brand. Semaglutide is the actual medicine. Okay? Zepbound and Mounjaro is the brand. Tirzepatide is the actual medicine. You'll need that later. You'll figure out why. I'm going to tell you. You'll figure it out along your journey why you need that information. And then stay away from compounds. Go see a provider is my advice. Compound people are going to be hanging up and pissed off and upset that I said that. But honestly, you really want to do this on your own the first year. Do it with a provider and a dietitian. Second year, go run and save your coins and, do whatever you want to do with Compound Life. But I highly suggest that you do it with a provider and your insurance and a dietitian. So here, going back to the list, learning how to eat, we talked about that, right? Knowing what to eat, knowing what causes you to gain, looking for 7 days and saying, wow, when I ate that, the scale went up. This is one of those times when you're going to use the scale every day and you're going to measure every day. The other times, the rest of the month, you're just going to do measurements by the most part. When the measurement goes down an inch, you're doing something. When it goes up an inch, you're doing something. So if it's moving forward, you could be bloated, that could be part of it. And then learn how to find prebiotics and probiotics that will keep you from that bloated state. And that's really important, with making sure that you have your fiber in check, and you might, getting the right supplements in check, and you might stay out of that bloated state. But because constantly going up in measurements, you're probably gaining weight. You go over to the scale's going to verify, yeah, you're definitely gaining weight. So if it's not that typical time of the month where you're going to be bloated, if that's your situation, or for men, if you're finding yourself bloating and it's constantly, you need to look at what you're eating. So certain foods are going to cause inflammation and bloating. And once you find out and target those foods, you need to, I'm sorry, someone's making a bunch of noise somewhere. But you need to, it almost sounds like thunder, but I know it's not. But once you see those what those type of foods are, then you need to eliminate them and see if that causes you to take the weight off, right? So then going on to the next part of the list is calorie and carb deficit. If you'll go back to the other podcast, I'll be a little bit more detailed than that, so we won't stay too long here. So go back to the one before this, walk and carb it off. Go to that podcast and it'll go into more detail on the calorie and carb deficit. So just go back, listen to walk and carb it off, and that'll help you there. High protein, high fiber. And those things are important because we always think, fiber is going to make me flush it all out. That's not what fiber is doing. Fiber is telling the digestion tract to slow down. And when your digestion tract is slowing down, you stay full longer. You're not crapping it all out and starving again, and crapping it all out and starving it again too many times throughout the day. So the food is staying in the body longer, the fiber choice that you ate. That's staying in the body longer. It's telling your brain that you're full. 70% of the conversations that happen in your gut, probably more, the conversations in your gut are happening in your brain. The brain and your gut are talking to each other at the same time. Right? So it's okay. Puppy's just getting a little bit hyper from the other person's. Give me just a moment. I'm sorry. So your high protein and your fiber are going to be, it's just like super critical, right? And those are things that are going to make you feel full longer. Also going to do really great things for your muscles, all that And you just need to do your research on it. But when your dietitian tells you to go into a high protein, make sure you do exactly that. Make sure you do the amount of grams that they tell you in fiber, and you will see a difference. You're going to see weight loss happening. Okay? Now, let's get to Jillian Michaels versus Oprah. This is not something that's happening in the media. It's just a conversation that I'm having, right? Jillian Michaels had this conversation on a news segment where she was saying, you don't need to get on, all these different weight loss things. You don't need to do this. All you need to do is just tell your mind that you're not going to eat this and that, and then it's going to be easy. And then Oprah comes along and says, I was gaining weight and losing weight and gaining weight and losing weight. And then the next thing you know, I try Mounjaro and I'm able to get the weight off. And I feel like I realized, she said, that she thought it was just like some willpower that skinny people had that was better than everyone else. And she realized that she didn't possess that willpower. And when she got on Mounjaro, she had the willpower. That's when I get into the point that I called you all over to make. Jillian Michaels, it's an opinion. She probably comes from an area of people who were presented with the right foods to eat from the beginning. So because they were presented the right foods to eat from the beginning, they were not in any type of struggle, perhaps, or maybe she was. But by the majority, the environments that she's been introduced to probably had the right foods. I don't know. I don't personally know her story. But Oprah, I know her story. And I know that her story, what happened in her story is the reason why there's a struggle. Oprah, myself, and so many others are the 80% that I'm talking about. 80% of us must use the very next thing that I'm about to share with you. And the reason why we must do so is because our bodies were given food for a very long time that we shouldn't have, that caused horrible ways of thinking in our mind and our gut. And it's not going to be easy to just turn off at the drop of a dime, as Jillian Michaels suggested. We were given foods that were bad for us. We were genetically predisposed to having that type of craving for sugar and bad foods because our parents were given foods that were bad for them. And then the grandparents had, the ones that had those children, they were given foods that were bad for them. So we've been 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 generations genetically predisposed to craving foods that are bad for us. We didn't have an environment of high vegetables. We didn't have an environment of the right foods. We oftentimes, that's why I said 80% of us, 20% of people had those great things, had family members. Like I heard LeBron James say something about his father and making sure the way that he ate, and it was mandatory, and he was super strict about it. That gave him the mindset that he has today. He's genetically predisposed to eating right during that time frame. He goes into this next time frame of raising his children. It's an automatic. It's not going to be. LeBron, because his father was that way, he's not a part of this 80%. So again, it's not a black or white thing. It's about environments that chose to provide the right foods and the way to eat, and taught it really well, and why not to eat this way and that way, and environments that did not. 80% of the environments did not teach the right foods because they didn't know. No fault to them, and that there's no hatred at all to the elders and the ancestors for not knowing. So because of that, that's why the secret for weight loss with type 2 diabetes, the secret is Mounjaro. The secret is a tirzepatide. You're dealing with type 2 diabetes and obesity, the secret is definitely a tirzepatide. A semaglutide, possibly. But semaglutide may not be for everyone. And sometimes something as simple as Ozempic could just be a woman or a guy, that's a person that's trying to take off 25 to 50 pounds. But when you're talking about some major weight loss, and you're talking about 100, 200, 300 pound weight loss needed, I suggest Mounjaro if you have type 2 diabetes, or Zepbound if you do not. A tirzepatide is going to fight something, a term that I learned in the new group of people that I'm connected to, and all the support and information that they give as they've been a year and two in this game. A tirzepatide turns down the food noise. That thing that Oprah was talking about, that willpower or not, Jillian says you could just do it. Some people can't just do it, Jillian Michaels. And that's why with Oprah getting on a tirzepatide like Mounjaro, I'm on Mounjaro. It turns down the food noise. So for 4 to 5 days, maybe even 6 days, this time I was lucky to get 6 whole days of turned down food noise. But I also changed my injection site, and I'm going to be talking about that on YouTube. For those of you who are following the journey, I'm on week 5. I'm on week 6, but I need to update you about what happened in week 5. So if you want to see week 1 through week 4, you can go to my YouTube. I am D Shields. I am DEESHIELDS on YouTube. Watch week 1 and week 4, and you'll hear my journey. And I'm about to update soon with week 5 and 6. The food noise turns down for 4 days for sure without the what I did this week, and then this week I was able to get 6 whole days. That food noise is what keeps you away from those bad cravings. In addition to your actions, if you know that you are at number 1, what did I tell you? Get serious. Once you're serious, you're not buying Doritos at the grocery store. When you're serious, you're not buying chips. You may be buying the snack pack for your child to take lunch, but even then you want to try find ways for your child to choose better options, orange to go along with their sandwich. You want to try to choose better options, because it is the addictions of the chemicals that are in those foods. And if you have too much of it, it will cause an addiction, and it will cause inflammation in the body, and inflammation will cause obesity, and obesity is a disease that causes you to be fat. Mounjaro turns down the food noise. Ozempic, semaglutide, probably, I've seen from different people in the support say Ozempic turned it down for them as well. Tirzepatide, I'll speak on because I'm on one, turns down the food noise. So you're not craving that stuff. So you go in, especially, once you've decided to get serious, you need to do this for 90 days before you get on Mounjaro. You need to learn how to eat. For 90 days, you need to be in a calorie deficit. You need to be in a carb deficit. Go back and listen to Walk and Carb It Off, the podcast that I did before this episode. Okay? So you need to go learn how to be in a calorie and a carb deficit, learn how to eat, spend 30 minutes every day moving. Make sure that you're walking as often as you can. You want to do 3 days of 10,000 steps. Going on an outside walk is really crucial to doing that if you can. If not, you want to try to get no less than 5,000 steps a day if you have to be inside and you're not able to step outside. But the secret? Getting on the type of assistance for talking directly to the gut, because the gut's having a conversation with the brain. Mounjaro is going to do that. A tirzepatide is going to do that. So choosing to get on Zepbound if you're just facing obesity, or choosing to get on Mounjaro if you're dealing with type 2 diabetes and obesity, you're going to turn down that food noise, and you're not going to want that stuff anyway. It's literally, you're just not going to want it. You're not going to have any craving for it. You're going to make sure that you follow the eating right and making sure you're drinking water. Another secret that I have, water. Just water. There's soda out there, and once or twice a month I may be out and about, and I may decide that I want a tall glass of sweet tea. I'm not going to have that something that I do at home. I'm not going to pour a glass of juice at home. I even got away from having orange juice because those juices have calories. And that orange juice at the store, it has calories, and it has hidden sugars and all kind of chemicals and things within them that cause inflammation. And the inflammation causes you to be obese, and the inflammation causes you to be fat, and being fat is obesity, and obesity is a disease. Okay? So you got to cut out those things in order not to go through that. Most of your calories in a day are going to be, again, we talk about that in the Walk and Carb It Off, so you can go back and listen to that episode. But a lot of your calories sometimes are coming from that extra junk food and from juice. So 3,500 calories in a week's time is 1 pound of weight gain. In addition to that very fact, 3,500 calories without that is 1 pound of weight loss. Choose your calories very carefully. Stay in a calorie deficit. Stay in a carb deficit in a healthy way. Choose the foods that will keep you full. Choose the foods that will meet the nutrients. Take your supplements. I take zinc. I take D3. Know with your doctor about D3 and D2. Know about your vitamin D deficiency, whether you have it or not. B12s, omega 3s. Like, take your supplements. It's going to give you the energy that you need to focus and make the right decisions for your body. But trying to do it on your own, sure, you can do all these things on the list and cross out Mounjaro, cross out Zepbound, decide not to do it. You could do that if you so desire. But no, my stomach didn't paralyze. And all these other different things that are out there. There are people that are experiencing things, but if you had a lifestyle of prior alcoholism, lifestyle of drugs, 20 or 30 years later, your body is answering to that. Ozempic has nothing to do with it. Mounjaro has nothing to do with it. I'm not on Ozempic, so I can't say for sure, but Mounjaro, that's not happening to me. Right? So, your doctor, when you do it with your doctor, you'll get the right milligrams for you. I'm on a 2.5 milligram a week Mounjaro, and that's a choice that she has until she sees me next month, and she may change that and may go up. I don't know, but I'm successful with the weight loss. I have started in August, and we are now at September. I have 13 pounds that I can say for sure stays off. No fluctuation, is gone. 19 pounds off for as of today. But, sometimes I don't trust the 19 because I don't know what's going to happen. I'm in perimenopause, so I don't know what's going to happen with the bloating. Anything can happen between now and 7 days from now where I say, that I didn't trust that. But right now, 19 pounds off. And listen to this. From April to August, I was just doing my provider dietitian and doing what they had laid out for me to do, to eat in a calorie deficit, carb deficit, high protein, eating the fiber. I was doing that on my own along with exercising, going to the gym, walking, and making sure that I'm doing strength training and getting in the movement. On that by myself, before I got on anything, I was losing 1.6 to 2 pounds a week. I was taking berberine as a supplement. I'm a natural sister, so you're going to hear a lot of natural things all the time. Mounjaro is the only chemical that I've had to introduce on a weekly basis. And I had buspirone at first for my anxiety this year and last year, but I switched that over to ashwagandha. Made a difference as well, because getting your stress in order, your anxiety in order, you need to learn how to treat that. That's a whole nother thing that you need to focus on. And that's a part of step one in getting serious. Stop being stressed out. Clear out those stressful environments. Get away from those people that are causing that kind of stress. Take a hiatus from people. Put yourself at arm's distance. If they're constantly calling you and involving you in their drama, get away from it. Because stress will cause you to eat bad, lose focus, gain weight, have fat. Fat becomes, inflammation and fat becomes, you're now in a state of obesity, and obesity is a disease. So I was losing, from April to August, I was losing 1.6 to 2 pounds, taking it off, right? What I loved about getting on Mounjaro, I'm able to do 3.5 to 4 pounds a week weight loss. So in the month of August and September, I'm able to see 3.5 to 4 pounds off a week And that makes a huge difference in getting ready for the goals for next, that macro goal for next year. So slow, steady strength training, eating right, learning how to eat, seeing a dietitian provider, running your labs. But that secret to help you with those cravings, it's Mounjaro. It's a tirzepatide. It is Zepbound, and it's doing it through a provider. I prefer that you don't go to compounds because compounds are mixing. Some compounds, places have tirzepatide mixed with berberine and a host of other things. And for your first 90 days before you're able to get, your doctor may or may not approve Mounjaro right away. So if your doctor chooses not to do that, you can just order berberine, Berberine. I do NutriFlare, I think is the brand that I have, and you could just take 2 of those a day and do that 7 days a week, and it's all natural. They call it Nature's Ozempic, and do your research on that. Berberine, Mounjaro, those are the things that are going to help you with that conversation to your gut, to brain to gut, to turn off that food noise, to give you the energy and the focus that you need. And that's going to be an all-natural way of being able to do that. So that's a good start for you, just to meet those goals before you make the leap over to Mounjaro if you feel like you're not ready. But don't cut out any of these steps that I told you. Don't cut any of those steps before you get on Mounjaro. You need to do all those steps that I told you. You need to do those things before. I chose to do it for 90 days. After doing those things for 90 days, I'm now here. Within the second month. I'm on week 6 of Mounjaro. 90 days, I suggest you do the other steps. I hope this helps. I'm your host, D Shields. You can also catch me on my other podcast, What D Says, the podcast. You can catch that podcast. You can also, if you're following here, listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you should be able to just click through and see all the different podcasts that I have available for you. Lyrics breakdown. We're about to talk some Diddy songs and break down what was right in our face the whole time. Thank you so much for stopping by. And again, you can follow me on socials. I am D Shields. You can find me that way on X, on Instagram, on YouTube. I am DeeShields. You can also have some fun and play along with some things that I do over on TikTok, but that one is I am D Shields CO. You can join a support group that I have that's small and it's a safe place. It's no place for selling anything, so please don't come in there selling products, because this journey has nothing to do with buying things right now. You need to get in a mindset of helping not only yourself, but your family members so that you can make a difference, because obesity is a disease. And why is that so important to keep saying? Because obesity leads to liver failure. Obesity leads to heart disease. Obesity leads to kidney failure. Obesity leads to limbs, failing on you to where your knees are not working. It leads to lack of movement, and lack of movement leads to heart attacks. So obesity is a disease because it starts often there when all those other preventable things happen. So if I can just take the weight off, then I don't have to keep aggravating the possibility of the genetically predisposed to heart disease and kidney disease and liver disease. And you get it? So make this move for yourself, but also do it for your family. Make it a commitment for everyone to get healthy. It's not a game. And being resistant and sarcastic and, girl, that ain't for me. Y'all just trying to be skinny. Lizzo, no, she on no Ozempic. And, girl, everybody just trying to do all that so they can be fine. Everybody want Nicki Minaj booty. Girl, get off all that. That has nothing to do with longevity, with living well, with staying away from 90 pill bottles on the table when you're 70 and 80 years old. You're doing this to live. So if you're serious about it like that, then come to Facebook groups. Exercise, Eat Right, and Focus. That's the Facebook group. Exercise, Eat Right, and Focus. Thank you so much. I'm D Shields, and for those of you that do and don't know, and I look forward to talking to you in the group and wherever you find me on social media. Exercise, Eat Right, and Focus. We have merch now. So I'm hoping that I can bundle up. We have like 58 members right now. So I'm going to try to get like 20 shirts that I can hand out, but we've got to get a sponsor. That way you guys can have a free t-shirt for just gifting yourself with this constant reminder, and it'll say exercise, eat right, and focus. It says it on the shirts, and gifting yourself with that reminder and accountability, sometimes that's just important. So I'm going to make sure that I get that going, because it just helps with morale in the group, right? But just 58 people in the group. And make sure that you answer the questions when you come over to join the group, because that's the only way to get past and into the group. Don't come over with no hacking. I've blocked so many hackers. Don't come over with no selling. None of that, unless you've been approved to talk about what it is that you've done in addition to. If you have not been approved, don't come with all that, because it's not the space for that. I do a lot of research, and I make myself the guinea pig on a lot of these workouts. I'm like, okay, he says do this, and I'll do it for 7 days, and then I'll share it with y'all and challenge you to try it. So since I'm putting in the work, I expect you to protect the group and do the same. Make it a safe place to get these things done. Thanks for stopping by, and thank you to the person, I didn't even catch your name, that asked the question, but it was a question that's being asked a lot, and so I figured why not put it on here, get that answer up for everybody. I'm about to send that person over a link to be able to listen to the answer. Thanks so much. I appreciate you.